Hello and welcome to your Washington, D.C. metro area real estate market report for January of 2026. I'm Edward Slavis with the Slavis Group of LPT Realty, and let us begin as always with interest rates. Interest rates have been more or less flat for the last 3 months, hanging out around 6.25. As of this report, according to Bankrate, the national average is 6.19. There are expected Fed cuts coming in 2026. Some of those may already be calculated into the mortgage rate securities market. But we do expect this number to go below 6 at some point this year. The lower it goes, obviously, the better for buyers, the better for the market. Now, I will say our clients are seeing better than 6.19, especially the qualified buyers, putting down a larger down payment. However, if you are curious as to what you would qualify for, please let us know. We are happy to introduce you to one of our preferred lenders. Now, this first chart shows all of the new listings in the Washington, D.C. metro area for the last 5 years. Now, this is all home types: condos, co-ops, row homes, detached homes, and all of the D.C. metro area, not just D.C. proper. And what you can see is in 2021, there was a lot more volume, some months above 10,000 new homes listed in a single month. Rates started increasing in March of 2022. So 2022 was a decrease. Then there's a big step down, however, to 2023, and we have not recovered the number of new listings just yet. Now a busy month is 6,000, down 40% from a busy month in 2021. And that's been fairly constant the last 3 years. If I go and look at closed sales, how many homes are successfully closing? Those also, this chart shows, a very, very similar shape, where there were some months we had upwards of almost 9,000 settlements in 2021. Now a very busy month is just over 5,000 settlements. So again, big step down there as well. And putting these last two charts into number form here, you can see in 2021, from January through February, there were 95,000 homes listed. In 2022, big jump down to just under 80,000. 2023, 24, 25, we've had right at about 54 or 55,000. This last year was actually a little bit higher, almost 56,000. So more than 1,700 higher than the low in 2023. If we look at homes that successfully sold, however, in 2021, there were 79,000. There were 19,000 fewer in 2022. So big jump down there. Then another big jump, 2023, 24, 25, were all around 47 to 48,000. So while the number of new homes that listed in 2025 was a 3-year high, the number sold was 47,802. It was actually about 600 fewer than the previous year. So the market slowed a little bit. Number of new homes came on the market, which is good, slight uptick there, but a slight decrease in the number of homes. If I compare that ratio, it looks like this. For every 10 homes that were listed in 2021, 8.3 sold in that same year. Now, some of the homes may have been listed in October of 2021 and sold in January or February of 2022. But this is just comparing activity within a calendar year. So the ratio is 0.83. Again, for every 10 homes listed in 2021, 8.3 sold. 2022, that number dropped significantly. Only 0.76 homes sold for every 10 listed. And we're comparing a ratio. So is the number of listed increasing? The number of sold dropping? What's affecting that ratio change? By that metric, 2022 was actually the worst year in that there were a lot of homes that simply did not sell. 2025, overall activity is down. You have fewer homes being listed, fewer homes being sold, but the ratio is still 0.86. It is actually higher than in the red hot year of 2021. For every 10 homes listed last year, 8.6 sold. Not quite as good as 2024, but still, relatively speaking, the chance that a home is going to sell is actually higher now than it was in 2021. Now, what about prices? This chart shows the median sale price for all home types, again, condos, co-ops, row homes, and detached homes, for the last 5 years. And you can see it's just slowly climbing up. And the median sale price in the last year was higher than it's ever been. If I break that down by all home types, red line being for detached homes, the blue line being all home types, green for row homes, purple for all attached homes, including condos, and yellows for condos, all 5 of those lines are slowly moving up. Price per square foot, same thing. It looks like it may have dropped off a little bit in this last year, but overall, homes are selling for is high or higher than they ever have in the market. The issue is, of course, there are fewer homes that are selling. Now, this chart shows months of supply. A month of supply is a measurement of that supply and demand. If there are 10 homes on the market and 5 sell per month, you have 2 months of supply. It's a measurement of how fast buyers are buying through, or absorbing is the term. The absorption rate, how fast they are absorbing the current inventory. Anything below 1 month, red hot seller's market. Below 2 month, seller's market. As you get to 3, it becomes more of a balanced market. And in the Washington, D.C. metro area, still to this day, overall, we have a very good market in that we're still less than 3 months of supply. So that's kind of a balanced market, and in some areas favoring the sellers. But it matters based on the sub-market. And I've shown these 2 charts in the past, just showing the updated versions here. If you own a detached home in AU Park, there is less than 1 month of supply. These prices are still record highs, still multiple bidding wars, still very, very much in demand. There's far more demand than there is supply. This market's no different. Interest rates be damned. Doesn't really matter. Prices here homes are still going to bidding wars. Prices are still climbing. We had another seller that we talked to in Trinidad. We talked about these numbers in the past. At one point for condos in Trinidad, there was 20 months of supply. Meaning if no new homes were listed at that rate, it would have taken almost 2 years for everything on the market that day to finally sell. It is darn near impossible to sell in that market, and I would say it is impossible for prices to go up in that market. Now it's started to come down, straight line down. We're at about 8 months of supply. That is still a very strong buyer's market. It is still hard to sell in that market. It is hard for prices to go up in that market. But we want to see this continue to drop. It's possible it's dropping because sellers are giving up and pulling it from the market. So you have less supply. It's not necessarily true that the demand is increased. But what we really care about is that ratio of supply and demand when we want to calculate the strength of a market. But if people say, well, I don't want to sell because it's the bottom of the market, well, what market? Are you detached home in AU Park? Because this is as hot as it's ever been. Or are you condo in Trinidad where it is a buyer's market and maybe we want to explore options for renting or for staying in the home longer and waiting for a better market? But when we talk about statistics of the market as a whole, what really matters is your local submarket. It doesn't even matter what's going on in one neighborhood over versus what's going on in Tampa or Phoenix or some other national market that maybe is making headlines. So what does all this mean? First, rates are coming down slowly. Overall, they peaked as high as 8% in the last 3 years. We're now very quickly approaching 6%, with more expected rate cuts to come this year. The lower that number, of course, the better for the market. The market is slower, but homes are still selling. The chance that a home sells is just as high now as it was in 2021. Okay? But the micro market matters more than the market. If you are curious as to what your home would sell for, or how the market is where you're looking to buy, by all means, of course, let us know. I would also assume that it is a buyer's market unless your home is properly prepared. It has to be properly priced and it has to be properly marketed. That is key. I think in 2021, it was such a strong seller's market. We just got convinced we could, if it had four walls and a roof, it would sell. The home will still sell, but we have to do a lot more work ahead of time to prepare it and market it, and bring it to market correctly. If you are interested in buying or selling in the DC market, or perhaps you have a friend or neighbor who is, by all means, let us know. Happy to talk about anything we've covered here. And we are always looking to be a resource for you, again, if you're looking in DC, Maryland, or Virginia. Thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is Edward Slavis with the Slavis Group of LPT Realty, and we'd love to be a resource for you. Any questions, please never hesitate to ask. Thanks.